Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the School District of West Allis, West Milwaukee to order, please. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to hand the chair over to Dr. Lexman, and he will proceed with our board elections this evening.
Do you want me to take the roll?
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call first.
Okay. Mr. Schultz.
Here.
Mr. Ustra.
Here.
Mr. Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Keller.
Here.
Ms. Klug. Here. Mrs. Justum. Here. Ms. Emmons.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
President Ziegler.
Present. Now I will turn.
Okay, good, thank you. Under board policy for the election of officers, the role of the president is facilitated by the superintendent. And I'll ask for nominations, open nominations, and I'll ask for nominations 3 times, and then we'll close nominations. And if we have, we're ready to go. So multiple nominees, then we'll do written ballots. So I will open the floor for nominations for the position of president of the school board. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Stephanie Emons.
I'd like the second.
Okay, we have 1 nomination. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Jeff Siggich.
Okay. We have Stephanie Emmons and Jeff Sickich. 3rd time, are there any other nominations for president? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the nominations and roll ballots out. The nominees are Stephanie Emmons and Jeff Sickich.
Is this official here? Oops. Doing it the hard way.
Yeah, there we
See what happens when you're left-handed?
There are 7 ballots cast for Stephanie Emmons and 2 for Jeff Sickich. So the office of president will go to Stephanie Emmons.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Stephanie.
You have the rest of the election.
Okay. All right. Sorry for the delay in that. First, I want to say thank you to the board for the trust that they're going to place in me for this next year. All of our board elections are for 1 year, and so I want to say thank you for that trust, and I hope to lead you all with dignity and grace and continue to build up on everything that Jeff has been leading for the last 3 years. And I want to say a personal thank you to Jeff. I've served as vice president for the last year and have learned a tremendous amount working alongside him. So I want to say thank you to him and for his 3 years as board president. So, okay, so to follow the same structure, we will now accept nominations for the role of vice president. And again, I'll then ask 3 times. Thank you. I'll then announce 3 times for all nominations. Again, if there are multiple nominations, then we will go to a paper ballot. So first, are there any nominations for vice president? Noah?
I'd like to nominate Ms. Justum.
I'd second that.
Okay, we have a nomination for Heather Justum for vice president. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Last time, are there any other nominations for vice president? All right, we can do a vocal vote on this. So all in favor of Heather as vice president, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And Heather is now our vice president.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We will now accept nominations for the role of treasurer. May I have nominations for the role of treasurer? Brian?
I'd like to nominate Noah Lee.
Noah? Do we have a second?
I will second.
Good. We have a nomination of Noah for treasurer. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, all those in favor of Noah as treasurer, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Noah's our treasurer. We will now accept nominations for the position of clerk. Do we have nominations for the role of clerk?
I'd like
Heather?
to nominate Gary Schultz.
Gary? We have a nomination of Gary for Schultz. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations for clerk? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Gary is our clerk.
That's Gary.
All right, we will now accept nominations for the role of secretary. Can I have a nomination for secretary? Noah?
I'd like to nominate Brian Keller.
Brian? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All right, we have a nomination of Brian for secretary. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we've got our slate of officers for the next school year. All right, now we will officially begin and read what was just handed to me. All right, proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. And first, we'll ask for any additions or modifications to the agenda. Dr. Lexman?
I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but assuming the consent agenda goes forward as noted, I'd like just a moment after the approval of the consent agenda to recognize some of the individuals on the employment summary.
Absolutely. Any objections? Okay. Any board members have any changes or modifications to the existing agenda? Okay, all right, we will begin then. We'll begin with public comments. Is there a sheet for public comments? Brian? Nope, no one has signed up for public comments tonight? Okay. We'll then begin then with the superintendent's report. Dr. Lexman?
Thank you. So we'll begin with our report from Nathan Hale High School student representatives. And this is their last time reporting for the year, so at the end, we have a little thank you to share with you. But go ahead and share your report.
Okay, so as you know, this is our final presentation. We'd just like to start by thanking you guys for letting us come in every month and share a couple things about Hale. And I'll start with Teacher Appreciation Week. We want to take this opportunity to thank all of our teachers for all that you do each and every day to support us students, our families, the schools, and our district. We have a lot to be proud of here in West Dallas, and it all starts with the outstanding teaching staff that we have. The Nathan Hale PTSA, School Administration, and PBIS Kids Club have a special week of celebration planned with a variety of treats each morning and the additional opportunity to take a little of the year-end stress off with chair massage for any staff interested. In addition, PBIS Kids Club will be stuffing mailboxes later in the week with positive notes of appreciation. Also, PTSA will supply gift card drawings throughout the week. Once again, we thank the teachers for all that they do.
Student recognition and awards. We're looking forward to recognizing and honoring our Nathan Hale Award winners for the 2017-18 school year at the upcoming Academic Awards evenings. Students meeting the honor roll GPA requirement or scholarship and special awards criteria have been invited to the celebration. The juniors and seniors will be recognized on Tuesday, May 22nd with a chicken dinner by Irene's Catering, with check-in and dinner from 6 o'clock to 6:45, with the awards program immediately following, while the freshmen and sophomores will be recognized on Wednesday, May 23rd, cake reception only, in the Nathan Hale Gymnasium beginning at 7 p.m. We look forward to the celebration of our students' accomplishments and hope you can attend. Just check in at the table in the comments.
Dia de Cultura. Save the date, Friday, May 18th. Nathan Hale will be hosting its second annual Dia de Cultura, a culture talent show from 3:30 to 7:30. This event is put on by Hale's Multicultural Club and is a demonstration and expression of the different cultures we have in our student body here at Nathan Hale High School. 21 students will be showcasing their cultural talents and pride. We have music, dance, and magic represented from all genres, both modern and traditional. There will be free kids and adults cultural activities like crafts and henna. We will also be selling a variety of different cultural foods such as Chinese, Serbian, Mexican, and Italian. Admission is $5 for adults, kids 10 and under are free, and senior citizens 65 and up are free. Come join us in celebrating our Hale family culture.
10th Annual Safe and Sober Spring Family Night. The West Allis West Milwaukee School District hosted its 10th Annual Safe and Sober Spring Family Night on Monday, April 16th in the Nathan Hale Auditorium. Nathan Hale and Central High School worked in collaboration with the WAPD and the WAWM Community Coalition to present on the dangers and consequences of substance abuse to help promote safe behaviors during the upcoming end-of-the-year celebrations. In addition, we shared the WAWM High School Youth Risk Behavior Survey data from our students' feedback, and then we had a presentation on managing the everyday stress of high school life and personal wellness and healthy approaches to keeping drug and alcohol free. This portion of the presentation was conducted by Nathan Hale physical education teacher, Mr. Rosa. Students who attended this resource night with their parent or guardian received a $15 discount voucher to be used toward the purchase of a prom dance ticket, while if the student or parent attended on their own, they received a $10 voucher. Hale had approximately 200 people in attendance, including 118 students with 77 parents.
Impact Day. Along with this, prior to prom, Nathan Hale conducted Impact Day, directed by our peers with Impact Student Group. This event was designed to remind students about the potentially dangerous consequences of distracted driving or driving under the influence, promoting safe and healthy decisions, especially during the end-of-the-year prom and graduation celebrations. During the school day on April 26th, approximately every 26 minutes, a bell sounded over the PA to symbolize the fact that 2 people have died due to impaired or distracted driving. The EMT temporarily removed 2 students from class. Within minutes, the students returned to class wearing a black t-shirt labeled "Victim." From that point on, the victim did not speak or interact with other students for the remainder of the school day. Additionally, a lesson was done during homeroom to help students understand the risks and consequences of impaired driving. A crash vehicle was also on display near the front of the school for the day.
Prom 2018. Prom 2018 was held at the Milwaukee County Zoo in the Peck Pavilion on Saturday, April 28th with the theme Enchanted Forest. It was a fun event and a huge success with 400 students in attendance.
Nathan Hale gives back. Last Thursday, during all lunches, Nathan Hale's Spanish National Honor Society sponsored an event to support children with hair loss due to fighting cancer, alopecia, burns, and other medical conditions through donating hair of 8 inches or more to the nonprofit organization called Children with Hair Loss. 13 Nathan Hale students participated in this awesome cause, including Spanish teacher Ms. Santiago and police liaison officer Sergeant Martin. A big thank you goes out to Nathan Hale alumni professional stylist Amber Hawk from Roots Salon for cutting students' hair for this event free of charge. Let's see here. The Autism Awareness Month. The Hale Mentor Program made an autism and disability awareness ribbons in lunch hours. The ribbon and puzzle symbol represents autism awareness. The green puzzle piece represents Hale and how, as individuals, we all fit into the puzzle. If we have all the pieces to a puzzle, we have a united and beautiful result. By wearing a ribbon, we show support of inclusion and tolerance of individuals, not only with autism, but any disability. The profits from the ribbon sale are being donated at local agencies that support individuals with autism.
Athletics and activities. The Hale Husky drama production of Elton John's Aida was a great success. We had just short of 1,000 people attend the Hale musical over the 5-show event. Congratulations goes out to the cast, crew, pit, and director, Mr. Grimscheid, and assistants Miss Wikowski, Mr. Beeksma, Miss Gandry on this outstanding production. Following the district solo and ensemble, Nathan Hale had a huge amount of musicians qualify for the state music solo and ensemble this past weekend at Cardinal Stritch University. The results are as follows. Large ensembles, 11 ones and 2 twos. Small ensembles, 8 ones and 2 twos. Solos, 25 ones and 22 twos. We congratulate our musicians and directors on their outstanding work and performances. Congratulations also goes out to the Hale Husky Robotics team on their 3rd place finish in the Milwaukee Regional Underwater Robotics Competition on Sunday, April 29th at UWM. The team faced intense competition from a field of 9 talented high school teams from around Wisconsin and Illinois. Gabe Wells, a junior at Nathan Hale, competed at the Regional Special Olympics track and field meet this past weekend in Muskego. Gabe finished 3rd in standing long jump, 5th in the 100-meter dash, and 2nd in the 4-man relay, earning his way to state in all 3 events. Congratulations, Gabe. The Lady Huskies softball team is off to a great start to their soggy season. The team is 6-1 in the Greater Metro Conference, currently finding themselves in 3rd place. They're going into a tough and defining week with games against Menominee Falls and Tosa East, who are the leaders in the conference. Sean Borak, myself, and Elaine Jang took 2nd place in a Psychology Bowl competition. They competed against 25 other teams from schools in Illinois and Wisconsin. Other Hale students who competed were Lauren Miner, Lindsay Hammer, and Victoria Williams. And finally, farewell to the class of 2018. And last but not least, the days are winding down for our graduating seniors as they close one chapter of their life and open another. We wish them much success as they move on from high school to pursue further degrees, enter the military, or move directly into the world of work. We are looking forward to an exciting culmination to the school year and celebration of their accomplishments. As a reminder, the graduation ceremony is scheduled for June 9th at 3 p.m. in the Nathan Hale Gymnasium. We look forward to seeing everyone at this special event in honor of our senior class of 2018 and hope you can attend. You will have seating reserved on the side of the stage for any board members in attendance, as well as reserved parking outside the Commons entrance.
And before we finish, I just wanted to say next year I'll be attending Carroll University, majoring in environmental science, and also be continuing my football career at Carroll. So.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And that's all we got for today.
Do we have any questions for our departing students?
Okay.
Yep. See you at graduation.
Yep.
Thank you.
And next we have our school showcase. Our staff from Lane Intermediate is here to present tonight. Welcome to everyone from Lane.
Good evening. We're going to get going right away because we have quite a bit packed into a short amount of time. If you guys have any questions or anything that you want to ask any of us, we can go from there. So up here right now, myself, Bob Antheline,
Liz Kazar.
Julie Smith.
Julie Smith.
kind of a part of our little team here, just presenting. And thanks to the group that showed up tonight to kind of support the building as a whole. Our building in the last 2 years is framed around a theory of action. So what we're going to do today is highlight just a couple of those pieces of some of the things that have kind of, at least, I don't want to say shifted, but changed, the things we try to intentionally do for students that we support. If you haven't seen it, you don't need to read all of this, but we're just going to highlight really our goal is if we cultivate, grow, and communicate a community of learning focused on empowering students through intentional and purposeful practices, guided by development and application, that students are going to have to see a shift in our student data and our student experiences across the board. With our ultimate goal really being that connecting to that district goal, and this is not as clear as we had hoped, but you really want to give students the opportunities to make important choices and deal with consequences in ways that build decision-making through the encouragement of curiosity and connectedness to a rapidly changing world. And we believe if we do that, we're going to hit the district's goal of 80% of our students with proficient math, literacy, and across the board. So with that,
Okay, so for the rest of the presentation, we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to make you guys get a little active today, okay? So we are going to do something through, it's called the Breakout EDU session. It's like a style, like a way of teaching. It's an educational version of like an escape room challenge, which is kind of a very trendy thing right now. Staff members use this method of teaching because it's incredibly motivating and engaging. We have modified these activities today, though, to fit in a 15 and 20-minute session. Generally, it's a 45-minute session as a class period. We're going to highlight some of Lane's strengths and challenges during this breakout. Your goal is to open all the locks, so we're going to break you into 2 teams. You need to use the clues that are provided. Make sure you're using like important words and numbers as well. And the goal is obviously to open up all the locks and break out. We're going to set a timer. You're going to have 18 minutes. Okay, and we're gonna break you into 2 teams. So maybe Marty, we can start with you, and then the first 5, like Mr. Bailey, you would be on this side. And then the 5 of you can be on a team, all right? So I'm gonna give you clue number 1, and then you're gonna need to work your way over to the box and open that up. So there needs to be a lot of teamwork and collaboration. Okay, do you guys have any questions before we start?
Work our way over like that.
The presentation is to show innovation.
Can't touch the floor.
Lily's gonna help you, she can help that side, I'll help you.
We can help.
We're trying to make it easy for you.
Oh, come on.
No,
Come on. All right, there's your clue number
If
1.
you don't fail, you don't learn.
Clue number 1. There you go. You can try
Yeah,
that.
but what if they're set up a certain way?
How many combinations could there be?
Don't we want the clues first? Clues in this invitation? Oh, that is, oh, okay.
Plan evening schedule of food items. Creating invitations for the community. Recently, they secured Lane's very own School of Rock musicians and the Lane Jazz Band to perform at the event. It's to highlight the 17 United Nations global goals for the Student Center, they're learning around on a daily basis. If you're not familiar with the global goals, in 2015, world leaders agreed to 17 goals for a better world by 2030. These goals have the power to end poverty, fight inequality, and solve climate change. Guided by the goals, now all of us governments, civil society, and general public together to build a better future. When is the festival? Friday, May. So
we have 17, we have 18.
5, 18, 2018.
So, yeah.
But there's no numbers. It's letters.
On ones.
Oh, it can be any one? Oh, I thought we had them in order.
Several boxes.
Oh, this
Oh,
has
okay.
2 locks.
Those are other sustainable development.
I know.
Well, then 17 and 18 could be letters in the alphabet.
Could be, yeah.
Because this is letters.
Maybe just say don't make
It's fun watching. We got 5, 18.
They're already in line.
That's another clue.
You read thoroughly.
We have a plethora of outstanding clubs at my art school. Yes, there's makerspace, video editor. Therefore, we would like to highlight 2 clubs, book club and kindness club. Our book club includes over 50 students and 2 teachers. The students come to the library and engage in lively discussions. They are currently reading many books. The kindness club focuses on promoting kindness to others, kindness to yourself, and being kind to them better than you. Some projects they have organized that are positive focus on every school locker. Discover when they arrive in the morning. Bags for students. Birthday showers. Head start. Wait, it says look carefully. It says look carefully at the quotes.
They're both past that one now.
S-T-A-R. Yes. S-T-A-R-T. If that's a letter. There we go. Hey.
Mr. Collin, you should be very Our makerspace area is combined with the library and is open during all 3 hour lunches and after school on Tuesday and Thursday. Each week, more than 60 kids participate in makerspace activities. Students can explore coding, robotic circuits, arts and crafts, 3D printing, Kleenex, recycled computer parts, and more. The The space allows students to be innovative thinkers and creators who can change the world. One challenge that we face in a makerspace is storage. We are fortunate to have thousands of dollars in amazing equipment, but if it's locked up on our site, students lose the desire to freely create with it. At the same time, with all the supplies that are unopened, it gets very difficult to manage, especially because some are so small and desirable. Many times when there are 30+ students in makerspace, all creating their own unique projects. For your next learner, you need to find a 3D printed sandal. One of our students actually designed a tennis shoe with a massager inside the shoe, but used a flip flop as a simpler design.
I want that.
Where's the ball at? Are they on Amazon yet?
So you got 3. Oops, sorry.
I'm just trying to help you with time.
Beth and Shelley, let me see your shoes.
I'm just stretching this way. No flip flops, I'm just stretching this way.
They're gonna beat this down. They're gonna beat that down early. Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's the point. What is the team?
No.
That was our biggest fear, like you say. Marty's running.
Any concerns with your, I said, don't worry about your direction. You know, so, but she's like, yeah, she's probably we'll take that, you don't have to, you're welcome to address it with us.
Alicia preparing something for the thing, but she went to a meeting, she's like, talk to her, she goes, Paul, like, so who's more competitive, Marty's group or?
I think that's like the silent competitive group.
I think they're done. I think they are. Are they done?
They're on the last one.
Okay, we got the lap, right?
Yeah.
Julie, are we on the multicultural fair or?
They're still on, they're on that one. They're on the other one, they're in 2 different spots. So they're still on this one? They're in the last one, yeah, on the silver part.
It won't help you get out.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? We're on the word. You're on the word, okay. Yeah, I'm sure it was team. It's not like we're Oh, okay, oh, no, okay, so you got that. And now there's another two around the
Did they get it?
Yeah.
8 minutes left.
I love escape rooms, they're awesome.
Great job. I don't want to put any pressure on them, but that's still working.
We were too, we got stuck on that east, west thing. Yeah.
Very healthy helper.
I was like, come on, can you like the direction I need to work or something? Get out the compass on my phone.
They get like a snack. And they got, and now they're.
Our code name can be meat.
Just like the kids.
Team meat. See, team meat.
Yes, that's like here.
Well, maybe not in that order, it's not the last one there.
Right, so you might have to scramble them up a little bit. I'll tell you, the other team noticed that the M is only in the first, like, row.
The banner
So
coming?
you were probably.
Yeah, they should be here Wednesday. And I just finished, well, I'm working on the design for the t-shirts for a la carte and beyond, so I should have those ready. Those we can get done in a month or so. And then I just have to get the airtime done, and then figure out what we're doing. And then my girlfriend is working on the junior website. Everything all happening at the same time, and it'll be fun.
I got a call back from down West Dallas. And then I still got to get the diagram up there.
Okay. No problem. We've got time.
Yeah, we have to get that diagram.
Okay. I'll make it as.
So I know that at least for principals, we get quite a bit, when we get our updates from Dr. Lexman, one of the themes in the last couple of months, at least heavily for us, has been design thinking process and some of those pieces. I know that you guys have talked about it. We talked about it, our leadership team. This is just an example of one of the ways that we do that. We did have about, congrats, you solved the main breakout box. One of the ways we tried to grow this across our building too is late March, early April, we did an all-school design challenge. So to the excitement of some of our teachers and to the very nervousness of others, because it was a full school, and it was how could you promote kindness at Lane? And so the students had about a 45, 50-minute period where they had to problem solve as a team, come up with a plan, and then also make a short PSA around that. So we're just going to share with you, we have two PSAs, they're like 20 seconds long, two of the groups that we have right here. So hopefully this comes through good for you.
Spread love wherever you go.
Choose kindness over hate.
Be you.
Don't be afraid to talk to somebody new.
Be kind. Be bold. Be helpful. You're talented. No act of kindness is ever wasted. You're beautiful. Kindness counts. You are awesome. Be awesome. Be yourself. Be unique. Be kind. Don't disrespect others.
Spread kindness like confetti.
Choose kindness at Lane. Choose kindness at Lane. Choose kindness at Lane.
Choose kindness at Lane.
And then we had, I think, over 17 that got completed in that 45. We actually gave them till Monday if anybody wanted to do any last minute editing. And then we had, here's another quick example. So Just a couple of different quick examples to try to show you some of the things we're trying to do to build off of our theory of action. And it's kind of threaded, I think, throughout the whole building. We have people doing 20% projects. We have people doing this on a regular basis. We have people trying it. And we're kind of all, not all over the board, but we're all moving in that direction of trying to kind of frame out some of our learning that we think connects best for our learners, but also connects to the vision and the mission that the board and the superintendent have created. So that's our
showcase.
Okay. Awesome. It was very cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep. And I will add, I stopped in during the design challenge. Deidre was there as well. And I was very curious about it. It was absolute chaos for a short period of time. But what really impressed me is how quickly kids were engaged. They were using the technology that we've provided for them. They were doing all kinds of coaching each other up, and you know, the collaboration we're trying to build in kids. And I actually had video on my phone of them doing their projects. I was so impressed. I started recording them doing their work because I was so impressed with how they were, no, let's try it this way. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Let's try it this way. And watching that happen was pretty powerful in such a short period of time. So it was pretty cool. So thanks for that.
Anybody else have any questions? I just have one final one before you guys go. So with the integration this year of Lane Global, you know, how we've seen it on paper, we haven't really, you know, seen it in person necessarily, but how's that been going? And what kind of anticipation do you have for next year? What's going to happen for the next version of what Lane versus Lane Global is going to look like and how that will work?
I think as far as how it's going, I think academically we're seeing quite a bit of gains.
Great.
And from a visitor standpoint, we've had over 225 people from Ohio, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Iowa, I mean, you know, part of the Institute coming through at various times throughout the year. We did have to cancel the last one because I think we either had forward testing or we had you know, assessment, and the last thing they want to come in and see that taking place. But I would say at least currently, I think moving in that direction. I think the global goals have given us something to ground them in. And something that, not necessarily to create a verse, but just something a little separate in a way of applying the learning across the board. As far as next year.
Yeah. So to grow the global goals, actually 3 of our staff members are taking a course on the Sustainable Development Goals, which are one of your clues. I've taken the course as well, and part of that is having a project at the end of it, which actually can help grow that. I see the Sustainable Development Goals being a framework where the West Dallas curriculum would lead into that in order to grow it. Another positive thing is universities reach out to us for interns to come in, and they really like to be placed as well within Lane Global. And I really see it being global and then Lane, and having different pathways for students as we continue to grow.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lane, for being here. All right, we'll go on to the legislative update. So you have that in front of you. It's short this evening. So on April 26th, the State Attorney General, Brad Schimmel, said he would like to see every school that applies for a grant under a new $100 million safety program receive some state assistance to improve safety measures. So that's good news. So if you apply it, you'll have some access to the resources. Schimmel went on to say that the awards will be split into 2 categories: primary grants for baseline improvements to schools such as door locks, and advanced grants for schools that have already met minimum security thresholds. So Schimmel said the goal is for every Wisconsin school building to have a single locked entry point that includes shatterproof glass. He expects about 1/3 of the money to go toward those costs. The advanced grants could be used for improvements such as video intercoms and exit door alarms. The money can't be used to hire new staff, recover weapons, vehicles, or body armor. So we did submit our letter of interest to apply for a grant, and have been completing kind of our audits of our current kind of standards and safety equipment, and then we'll use that to present a grant, and hopefully, given our size, that we're successful in receiving a good amount of resources to help support it. The 2 buildings that we're really focused on this idea of the double gated entry is West Milwaukee and Irving are the 2 that are, I think, most challenging, because yes, you get buzzed in, but then you're in the school, versus other buildings where you're buzzed in and you're either in the office or you're in a vestibule where you still have to be buzzed in further. The Blue Ribbon Commission on School Funding, so for the state school funding, held a hearing in Tomahawk today, so we're continuing to watch that, and there's nothing new at the federal level. In terms of updates, so we had 1 public comment from at our April 23rd meeting that was on open enrollment school assignments. So we are reviewing the process going forward. And so where we've been is really in the transition to the neighborhood schools, and we're looking at are there other ways to assign open enrollment students that maybe are a little more natural in terms of the overall course of the district. But I can't comment on specific cases, given that those are tied to student confidentiality. The comment made at the meeting said that there was also a dead link on our website, and we're working on that. It was under open enrollment information as the tab that takes you to a, sorry, this page doesn't exist, or some comment like that. So that's a little quick update from our last meeting. Then, as mentioned by our Hale students, this is Teacher Appreciation Week. So I want to, do another big shout out to all the teachers and for all of the amazing work they do every day for us. I also want to thank all of our PTA members, because PTAs are really doing the work of recognizing teachers with meals and with fun little, and when I was at the PTA council, all kinds of little puns and gifts, and hopefully teachers really experience a week where they know they're valued, they know they're contributing. I also want to mention that we have all of our schools represented at MAPC on Saturday night, so that's the Metropolitan Milwaukee Alliance of Black School Educators. They host an annual Teacher of the Year Gala. It's down at the big convention center downtown in the big ballroom, and it was really rewarding for me to see our entire team there. We had 6 full tables, so not only the teachers but lots of principals, directors were there, the parents of teachers were there, and it's a formal, elaborate, long evening. But they asked me to speak on behalf of the suburban districts, which was an honor. But what I enjoyed most is they do this grand march of the teachers right at the beginning before dinner, and they're playing some music, and all the teachers are lined up in the back, and they just come through the main kind of aisle of the big grand ballroom, and everybody's applauding, and just watching faces of teachers that have never experienced anything like that, or they're just like wide-eyed. It was really rewarding to see it. So I'm glad we're participating in that. Then a little update, Horace Mann, we're going through the principal hiring process there. I did the meetings with staff and parents last week to identify the characteristics they're looking for in the new principal, and that survey is out. We're trying to get it translated into Spanish right now, so that families where the primary language is Spanish can also participate in the survey. And then the survey, we take the characteristics from the sessions, the listening sessions, and then we ask participants in the survey to pick their top 5. And then those top 5 and the comments in the survey go to the peer interview panel. So we're working through that process. And then today I attended the Walker Mindfulness Retreat, which was absolutely fascinating to me. They asked their 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds to explain to adults all of the different things that happen in mindfulness. And so I colored. I got my little bracelet, and I colored with the little guy. And he was coaching me a lot. But it's part of, not only was it great to see parents learning more about mindfulness, but at Walker, part of what they do with personalized learning, they have a piece every year where they ask the kids to go public. So that's what they call it, going public. And the kids are expected then to explain their learning to other people that are coming through, whether it's projects or content they've created on their devices. In this case, it's 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds explaining mindfulness. So even at that age, they're expecting kids to learn good communication skills, and lots of teachers were coaching and encouraging kids to, that were being a little bit shy. But it's all part of the good work they do at Walker. So I just wanted to recognize that. And then I want to share a letter from Vince Vitale. And I think everybody knows Vince. He's on the city council. Vince is the husband of Cindy Vitale. Cindy was a retired teacher from the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District. And Vince says, to whom it may concern, my wife, Cindy Vitale, passed away on March 29th, 2018. She was a retired teacher with the West Dallas West Milwaukee schools. Except for her first year at Hoover Elementary, she spent 30-plus years at Irving Elementary as a teacher in the early childhood special education program, before transferring to teach in the first 4-year-old kindergarten at Irving, which she helped start. This is where she finished her remarkable career. Cindy loved the children and the programs as well as the school and many of her fellow teachers and staff. In keeping with her love for those kids and those programs, I'm including a check for $5,705 and an additional memorial checks made out to the West Allis West Milwaukee schools directly to these two programs. The total of these checks is $6,000. Cindy's family requests that this total be divided equally between the 4K, the early childhood programs administered at Irving Elementary School in Cindy's name. Thank you for providing a quality education to the West Allis West Milwaukee students you serve. Sincerely, Vincent J. Vitale. That's quite a gift.
Very nice. Very nice.
So we very much appreciate the work and life of Cindy Vitale and the gift that Vince is sharing with us. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay. Board President's report, all right. Jump right into that. Okay, so first we will review the board calendar. Tonight we have our regular Board of Education meeting, and following that we have 2 workshops, Learning and Technology with new course proposals for the 1920 school year, Facilities, updates on capital improvement projects, and Act 32. On Monday, May 14th, starting at 6 p.m., we have a Student Services Workshop, Restorative Practices, YRBS, Panorama Update, and SCTG, and then also an update on the Community Impact Project. On Monday, May 21st, starting at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting, and immediately following that will be a closed session meeting. There's no meeting on Memorial Day, and no meeting on the first Monday in June. Our next meeting after that will be Monday, June 11th, starting at 6 p.m., which is a regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting, and a Business Services Workshop, an update on the proposed 18-19 budget, preliminary tax levy number 2, and an update on transportation. All these meetings will start at 6 o'clock unless otherwise noted. And then we, as one of our housekeeping items every year, the school board has to appoint a few different roles and responsibilities. One is our district parliamentarian, so one of our board members who would serve as parliamentarian for the next year, a delegate to CISA, and a delegate to WASB for the annual convention, and then an alternate to that, so if the delegate isn't able to go and vote on our behalf for the resolutions for WASB for the year, that they would serve in that role. So I think in the past we just accepted volunteers for these positions, unless I'm mistaken. I think it was either voluntold or you volunteered for one of these positions, and so I would begin by looking for a parliamentarian. I'm sorry, Jeff, please be.
I was going to just raise my hand and say I'll do the WASB.
Great.
Delegate.
Okay, wonderful. And then we would need an alternate for WASB as well. And anybody's still welcome to go to the convention. It would just be in case Jeff couldn't go and be the voter for our school district that day.
I'd be happy to be.
You'd be alternate? Okay, great. Dan, you were going to say something?
I'd be happy.
I think Dan should do the CISA.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at him. I assumed we were going to, I want to make sure he voiced his thoughts first.
That's fine,
So,
thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
And then we'd also be looking for a parliamentarian for this year, so kind of the Robert's Rules of Order and checking in on whether or not procedures and things like that. I think there's a book. I know Pat had a book.
She
I think
gave it
that's
to me. I've got it
okay.
here.
So we'd be looking for someone to serve in that role as well. Anyone? Noah? Anyone?
I'll take it.
Jeff wants to do it? All right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Excellent. All right, so now we
Whoever
have.
wants to, I just said I'll take it.
Nobody else is going to that, so Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, stand-up guy. All right, so those are 4 appointees, again, voluntold, right, for our upcoming board year. Okay, so the next thing we have is our consent agenda.
Can I go back to the calendar?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just want to remind board members about tomorrow evening at the CISA 1 building on Paul Road in Pewaukee. There's a very good WASB workshop, and you know, just like teachers need PD days, we need PD, and that's a very good, close one to do.
Great. Any other board members have any other community updates?
I just wanted to know if it would be possible for us to get a thank you card so that we could all sign it to send to Alderman Lieutenant David.
Yeah, you can certainly take that out.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just, last weekend was The Little Mermaid at West Milwaukee, and if you didn't see it, boy, did you miss out, because for a middle school production, it was quite high-tech, and the kids were very talented. It was very impressive.
Okay. Anybody else have any updates? Okay. Then we will go into the consent agenda. We've got item 10.1, the approval of the minutes from the April 23rd regular board meeting. 10.2, the employment summary and supplementary contracts. And 10.3, adoption of resolution for continued use of facsimile signatures for the president, treasurer, and clerk, adopted for this school year through the end of June of next year. And again, that's an administrative item that gets reviewed and added to the consent agenda on an annual basis. Does anybody need any of those 3 items separated?
I just had a question.
Okay.
You said the facsimiles were till next year, but it says 2018 on there. Is that a typo?
I saw that too.
Yeah, I think it should be from 5/7/18 through 6/30/18. No?
No, that's this year.
That's this year.
It's
Is that
actually
from next
just
year?
until we
Backwards?
get a new facsimile made.
Okay.
Because of the new
members.
new members that were just
Be new
elected. So it
signatures.
just gives us time from tonight until the end of June until we have that made.
Okay, so it's just for the.
Continued use of,
The current, or the
Current.
most recent.
yeah,
Right.
so I know
Oh,
it
okay.
reads funny, but that's
So we
really
can
what it
keep
means.
paying people.
Got it. We'd like to be able to keep paying people.
Yeah, I'm not against that.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ready?
And if I could, so in the employment summary, and I appreciate the board, we just approved a new principal, Chris Gosh at Irving Elementary School, and we're super excited about Chris taking on this role. First, I want to share a letter that was presented to me from the staff at Irving, and this is a little unusual, but I think powerful. So, dear West Allis, West Milwaukee School Board and Administration, it's with great excitement that we welcome Christine Gosh as our permanent principal. We wholeheartedly agree with the decision and look forward to a bright and prosperous future together. The staff and students have been extremely lucky to have such a talented educator as our colleague for many years. And when she became our principal at the beginning of the school year, we knew she would be an excellent choice. The staff and students at Irving know that our school is a special place and an amazing commitment to improving the lives of everyone who steps through our doors. Through knowledge, acceptance, and caring, Ms. Gosh embodies everything Irving stands for, and look ahead to the opportunities her continued leadership will bring. We thank you for accepting her as our principal, and we want you to know that Irving is in good hands. Go Team Irving. And it looks like it's signed by the majority of staff.
Excellent.
So, Chris, if you want to share any words.
I'm not going to cry. I already did that a couple of times. I just want to say that I am absolutely thrilled to continue in the position at Irving. I've loved being a part of the community. This is going into my 5th year. And I think through this whole interview process, it really brought our entire community even closer together. And it certainly made my appreciation for the staff, the students, and the families even greater. And I want to say thank you for trusting me. And I will continue my commitment and dedication to the West Allis West Milwaukee School District, which has been the only district I have been a part of, and I plan to keep it that way. So thank you. And I also wanted to say, in regards to honoring Cindy Vitale, we did receive the letter which I shared with the staff, and we have a couple of ideas in the works right now, but once we solidify what's going to happen and how that's going to benefit our community, we will definitely share that with the school board and invite the family in to be a part of that as well.
Congratulations, Chris.
Okay, we'll now begin our action items. Item 11.1, Before School Care Program. Ms. Strasser?
Yep, so this is one that we've been working on behind the scenes, well, I shouldn't say we, it's Shelley's been working on behind the scenes for quite a while. She's really been putting in the analysis with her team and really looking at what other districts are doing. And it really was, prompted by NOAA to kind of investigate this. And we're pleased to present the opportunity for the board to take a look at our proposal and hopefully get support for it this evening. There's kind of a 2-step here. One is first, do you want us to implement before school care? So that's what Shelley will share with you, and the board will work through that. And then the next is, then if approved, approving program fees that are associated with this. But we thought it really makes sense to have kind of a 2-step sets of actions, because if the first one doesn't get approved, then we may need a different motion on the second. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shelley.
All right, thank you. So yeah, the first part of the action item is just basically the approval for if we want to move forward with the implementation of before school care. As I had mentioned in previous, I think it was a previous workshop, we surveyed all the current families that take advantage of the after-school care program and asked them just two basic questions. One, if we offered before school care, would you be interested in enrolling your child? And then two was about the fee structure. Would you be willing to pay more if you needed to? Overwhelmingly, the response was yes, that they would participate in before school care if we offered it. So we guess from that, we didn't necessarily feel the need to extend it to all families in the entire district. One, we felt the data could somewhat be skewed. I may not necessarily have a child and take advantage of it, but my friend might, so I might say, yeah, so it really wouldn't give us a clear picture. Asking those currently involved in before school care, we felt gave us a really good indication that there's a need. Plus, we do periodically get some phone calls about, if we offer before school care. And when we looked at other communities, districts that offer care, it's always before and after school. No one just does one or the other. One of the questions that came up, I don't know if it was in the materials, the hours we're looking to offer the program, a 7 a.m. start time, and then the end time would be 8:30, but basically probably more like an 8:15 when kids are normally dismissed from breakfast or when there's general playground supervision. And we've also had, as Dr. Lexman referenced, there have been a number of meetings. We've met a couple times with all the elementary building principals, vetted out all of their concerns. 2 general concerns came: space, which is always a concern, and even we have it after school, and then staffing for the general supervision portion of the morning. And we said, obviously, our staff would stay on. We couldn't do, because of the funding and Fund 80, providing some funding, we couldn't exclusively do morning supervision for the schools, but our staff would stay and help with morning supervision. So, questions?
Did that seem to make the principals happy,
Yes.
allay their fears?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the supervision piece, they are satisfied, and as far as space, there was only a few that had concerns, and they already have those concerns with after school too, but everybody was willing, we'll make it work. Was very much, they know that there's a need, or they've heard from their families, so they've all said, we'll find a way, and our staff is always very flexible, whether it's conference nights, or concert nights, we make other spaces work. And we really don't anticipate getting the same number of kids in before school care that we would in after school, so.
Any other questions? All right, we'll be looking for a motion.
Move to approve. I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, on to the next one.
Thank you. And the second piece of this is the fee structure piece. And this is where we have done a lot of research, investigation, and playing with numbers. And because this will be our first ever before school care, we don't know what to anticipate in terms of enrollment. So we just took a basic number. There are a couple of our schools, elementary schools, that are doing sort of some pilot before school care. We based it off their numbers. So we went kind of off 40 participants at each school, with the understanding that there's probably schools that won't reach that number, and there may be some schools that will exceed that based on enrollment. So, and as I know the board knows, and our department is very proud that we as a district make children and families a high priority, and we subsidize the cost of after-school care. We are the only district that does that, and I think there's a sheet in your packet where you will see our fees don't come anywhere near what other districts are charging for before school or after school care. So with that said though, there's not additional funding for before school care, so we worked on a funding formula that would help balance out where we could stay kind of at our same level of subsidy support for both before and after school. And again, we're sort of playing with some numbers. Right now, another item that we're very, very proud of is almost every one of our after-school programs has an educational assistant working at it, either as a site coordinator, assistant site coordinator. In some cases, we have 2 or 3 of them, and that's just a really great connection for our students. Some of them are at that school during the school day. Others may not necessarily be at that school, but they're, you know, employing a lot of the same strategies. So it's really helped our programs to be successful. We'd like, and we've had, you know, again, conversations as a management team to find a way to hopefully employ some of our EAs with before school care, but that will fluctuate. We do pay our EAs a different rate than we just pay some of our other site coordinators that don't have necessarily the same experience, background, education. So we looked at an average. So that's kind of what brought us to, is you'll see our fee proposal. This year, Fund 80 provided about $360,000 in support for our after-school programming. With that said, we took, with EAs and or just regular part-time staff, we were looking at like about a $70,000 supplement needed for before-school care. So by offering or increasing our after-school fee, that will help kind of bring that number down to even it out. So our recommendation is for before-school care be $200 for the year, so $100 a semester, and then the after-school program would be $250 for the year, $125 for the semester.
Any questions?
Question.
Yeah, go on.
So the school, there were some schools, my understanding was, that already had some sort of before-school care. So under this formula, would they move to, okay, so they would discontinue, because they would be using their own funds for that, I believe, building funds just somehow support that?
I think they were, some of them limited the enrollment and had wait lists.
Okay.
Their fee structure, I mean, it varied, but they were all pretty comparable with what we were charging, so that's why some of them had to limit, you know, the number of students they could take. But all the principals were pretty much in favor of saying, we can, you know, well, you guys have it, take it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no problem with that.
No.
Okay, great. The other question I had was, how much, so you're saying last year, Fund 80 provided $360,000 for the after-school program. How much money, and I know you've given this before and I don't know what it is, was brought in the fees?
Sure, that, it was just about $212,000. So actually, our total expenditures are about $570,000.
I'm sorry, so that's 360 that was provided. So that total cost is over $500,000.
Correct. And that's just elementaries. That does not include our 3 intermediate school programs.
Right. Okay. There's going to be concern. I love this. As a parent, I love this. I will use this. But I know there's going to be concern coming from the community when this gets wind of that it's basically taxpayer subsidized childcare, which essentially is what it is. And so I wanted to know how close we were, how far off we were from providing this, because we are, you know, we levy $3 million every year for the recreation for Fund 80, and obviously this money is coming out of that $3 million that we levy. And so I just have concerns about how this could be viewed from the community as, you know, we're already providing it. I know we're reducing it, or we're increasing fees to try to make up for that difference in the school funding. And it's great that we're so much less than everybody else, but we're like a 1/10 of what everyone else is. And that's great for me financially as a parent, but from the standpoint of a taxpayer, I could see it being an issue. And I know we don't want to price people out of this, because it can be a lifesaver for some people as far as trying to be able to get to work and have someone to watch their kids. But at the same time, I think we need to make sure we're trying to strike a balance with that. And so I don't know what the cost of this and what it costs us actually and what we're charging for it. We might try to revisit it a little bit more. In my opinion, I think that even if we doubled what we charged, we're still way cheaper than everybody else. I mean, by far. And I'm not saying that we should do that in 1 year time, but I think that maybe we should look at stepping this over time up to get, even if we're still half of what everyone else is charging, we're still in great shape, I think, in this, compared to the surrounding community. I mean, while schools are provided, we're Milwaukee Public Schools. You know, these are schools that are supposedly in economic situations similar to ours. And so to see what they're charging for after-school care compared to what, and before, I presume is that those numbers just for after-school care, or is that before and after-school care?
The sheet that we provided to you is just after-school care, because
Okay.
that's what we could compare with our current model.
So if they had before-school care, there would be an additional cost.
Correct.
That would be on top of that. So, you know, we're looking at, if we were half of what their after-school care cost is for before school and after-school care, I think we're at a great value here. So, I mean, it's just a comment, I guess. I'm not against this proposal right now, but I think in the long-term function of the district, for what we're providing and what we're getting back, to think about the taxpayers in this respect, that we should try to look at stepping this up to a certain level that we'd be comfortable with, that we think that our community would be able to support from our parents and so forth. Because I looked at the survey responses, everyone wants it, nobody wants to pay for it. And so I don't know how much that is want versus need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had asked a question regarding, you know, what do we have for those who qualify for, you know, free fees or, you know, reduced fees. And your response was, I'll let you, we don't really provide, there's payment plan options, right, but there's...
Correct. We don't provide fee waivers because we feel or we believe that we've made, as a district, we've subsidized the fee for all families.
Mm-hmm.
So there really is no financial criteria to receive that subsidy. It's spread across the board. But we do provide payment plans. This year, I want to say we had about 70 families out of 1,100 kids in the district that are in our after-school programs, and that, you know, at both levels, take advantage of our payment plans, and to date we have about 5 that still haven't fulfilled their payment obligations. So, I mean, we see that as very successful, and we'll continue to do that. And I know in our committee meeting, we did talk about, after we have 1 year of before-school care kind of under our belts, working towards somewhat of a graduated plan to that. It can also be shared with families in advance so they can see what that might look like to help us kind of close that gap.
Brian?
Kind of on the same point, I think it's going to be a good data point looking after next year, since you are going to be raising the after-school fee, to see if that has an impact at all too. And that might tell us give us some good information going forward as we kind of determine what we do need to do regarding fees as we are providing the service. So I think that's going to be some good information for us.
Thank you, Stephanie. I also agree with Brian and with Noah. I think the amount that we're looking at is, like Noah said, is less than what any of the other districts are looking at. So I think it's important that we take another look at this, even though that there will be data next year, to take a look at where it might be. But I think it's very important, like Noah said, for the taxpayers to take a look at this and say, okay, they can live with that. And I understand that there's, you know, some parents that really need to take advantage of it. I don't deny that. I think it's a great program. But I think the cost is just not where it needs to be. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
If I can just add one thing, part of some of the other programs and why they can charge such higher fees is families that qualify for what's called Wisconsin Shares. That's the child care subsidy. They may participate in that program. However, the state is moving towards some expectations of school districts that offer before and after school care have to follow the same licensing and regulations that child cares have to. And some of that right now, fiscally, we cannot do. I mean, the number of staff that you have to have that qualify for a certain level on what's called Wisconsin Registry, 50% of your staff have to qualify at level 7 or higher. We're not there. You have to have X number of full-time employees that also receive benefits. We have 0. Basically, I shouldn't say that. We have 1 who manages all 14 of our programs. That's the only full-time person we have working with our, you know, before and after school care. And then just some of those licensing things, there's things as schools we just wouldn't be able to provide. So there too, I wouldn't want to, you know, we'll want to work towards something that will continue to support our families. without forcing us into a situation where we have to participate in the shares program, because that just might not be possible for us as a district.
How much of a subsidy do they get with that shares program?
It depends, because in regular, and we've already participated in it for our summer camp at Horseman.
Okay.
And we did it when we offered Discover 4, when 4K was still half day. We did wraparound care. It's really difficult for families because A, they have to be going to school and are working, and what they pay them, the subsidy they provide them, is all based on income or number of hours they work, number of hours they go to school. We had some families that worked in like seasonal construction. Well, you know, they basically tell you when you're not working, you don't need childcare, but that's difficult then for families too, trying to find a job, or, you know, it just create some real inconsistencies for kids too that our little kids don't understand. You know, they build friendships, they look forward to that time after school, and so there's a number of things that factor in there. And I think too, when we look at some of our families, we talk about want versus need. It's not necessarily all working families. There's some kids that just, it's an opportunity to play, it's an opportunity to be in a safe place to play, where some of their home structures may not provide that, or they just don't have the opportunities to play with friends. So it provides a number of things outside of just general care.
Gary?
I was just wondering if it's possible to have some of the numbers maybe clarified or matched up better. When I was trying to look at the sheet that had before and after school program fee proposal, where you had Fund 80 operational and one number, now you just said we had revenue for the year. Then we had the proposed fees, and tying that into then where you have the after-school care comparing the other schools. You have based on a 40 enrollment for us, and but then you have the staff numbers here. So I was trying to match these numbers together, so everything's going to fit together. So maybe we could clean that up a little bit, and then for the before and after school fee proposal, then if we could separate out the total cost, what is Fund 80, what is revenue, what we have for this year, and then what your best guess for next year.
Sure, and I mean, I can give you that. We already have that. I'm not sure if we shared this once before. For this year, our total revenue just at the elementary level was $211,860. And our operational expenditures were $571,596 and some odd cents. So that's where the current cost of operation was $359,736. We just rounded it up to the 360 on that one sheet.
Okay, and maybe if you could put that on this sheet so we have a total and then the breakdown, and then again your best estimate or guess for next year.
No.
Just want to reiterate, I am in favor of this program. And I'm glad to hear that you already thought about, you know, stepping things as we move forward. I think it's definitely something that we should do. Looking at what we can do and what we can't do as far as what the community will support. Because eventually get to a price point where people will just go somewhere else. And so obviously we don't want to start losing participants from that, because that increases the cost to the rec department because you have fewer people paying for it. So that's also something that I understand we need to look into, so I'm happy about that. How does the rec staff feel about adding this? This is obviously going to become a burden, another burden onto the staff about, you know, having their people there early in the morning in schools. And so, you know, can you just give some feedback on that?
Sure. In terms of our program manager, there is some concern because if we're starting at 7 a.m., you know, you've got to be ready kind of 6:30 a.m. on the call with staff all the way until the end, you know, at the end of the day, we're done at 6. So that's why, too, we kind of built it on that fee proposal sheet. When you see kind of those numbers don't exactly match, again, we're working off of, we don't know what our staffing structure is going to look like in the morning. But we also built in that we would hire a part-time morning care coordinator, and basically their role will be to field those phone calls, you know, do the morning observations of staff, check in with staff if there are any behavioral or, you know, staffing concerns, and then they're also the fill-in person, because I think too, because this is new, ideally, we plan it to have 3 staff members at every site. Now, numbers may fluctuate. Some may need 4 or 5, some might only need 2. We will never have a site with less than 2 staff at all times. And that's for safety of our students and our staff as well. But that person, that coordinator, will be sort of a floater someone calls in, they go to that site. So our after-school program site staff, they see the need. They're the ones that talk to the families every single day, and they hear and they see, and some of them are in schools where they see kids already dropped off before that 8:15 time, or they've talked to principals. You know, some of them are a little apprehensive how it's going to work if there's a morning staff and an afternoon staff and, you know, those kinds of things. But overall, everybody's on board. I mean, they see the need and acknowledge that.
Do we have any kind of tie-in to, and I know we use a lot of high schools in our after-school, but in the morning, if kids have an internship opportunity, kids who are going into teaching or looking at childcare opportunities, that they could take that, because that would cut into their first hour class, but if it's an internship that's a paid internship, or however they do that.
Yeah, we've already started those conversations, and I'll be meeting with Gwen, because there's a couple different routes we can go. There's an internship, and then there's also
job study, or?
Yeah, some job study, and in one, like now I think most of the interns are on the back half of the end of the school day, moving that to like a first and second hour for them. So we already have some plans in place, and hopefully that'll work out in exactly. For students that are going into education, childcare, this will be a nice, you know, or any field having to do, you know, if they're even interested in pediatrics, just getting some, you know, hands-on experience. So, but we know majority of our workforce right now is high school students after school. So that's the other thing. We have to be cognizant of paying a wage that'll be attractive, you know, to people to work that morning shift. But we've already, you know, preliminary started putting feelers out there. So, and we're getting some interest. So it's just a matter of getting a go-ahead and then now moving forward with it. And our other thing is we really want to be able to message this out to parents before the end of the school year, so they can start making plans, and we can already almost start registering, because we're going to need to know prior to day one of school how many staff we need at each site.
Any other questions for Shelley? Otherwise, we'll look for a motion to approve the program fee proposal as written.
So moved. Second.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Good luck. Looking forward to an update on that. All right, next item is item 11.3, board policy number 185, the rule on the board committee guidelines. Dr. Lexman?
Yes, thank you. So I mentioned this at our last meeting, that we're having some conversations and doing some planning internally around alignment between strategic plan and school improvement plans, and even alignment between kind of next steps in the strategic plan and position titles, job responsibilities. And that led us to the conversation, this was really Deidre's idea, that we should also align up from the strategic plan to the board. And so the concept here is that we retitle committees. The responsibilities, the board committees, are pretty much the same. Outside of, we're combining kind of the student services side with the instruction or curriculum committee. So those two together under college and career readiness, and we go to 4 committees this way, plus the recreation committee. And that way we have one director for each committee. So Deidre was running after 2 committees, and when we have our new HR director, we'll have, and Mike Weaver's not running after 2 committees. Not that they mind it, but
Mike did.
I'm sure it's great fun.
But I think it is a smart strategy for us to have that kind of language alignment in our efforts. Because it also communicates that we're really coordinating to the entire district, that we're all on the same page and pursuing the same goals. The other element with this is that there's a memo from Jeff, because this is also included in board policy if we want to ask to have a policy expedited, essentially, so we don't go through the first reading and then wait 30 days for the second reading. The reason that we're interested in expediting this is that it allows then the board to continue its work and start assigning committees so that we can continue our work moving forward. So that's why we're asking that, given that it's a change of more title than substance, that we move forward and approve this at the first reading.
So how many board members will be part of these new committees, since we're combining one committee usually we had 2 board members on each committee for the most part. Is that going to change then?
And it's really more up to the chair, so to Stephanie, but my recommendation is we probably would keep it at 2.
Okay.
We have the ability to put 3 on a committee.
Right, I
if
don't
we
think there's
wanted to.
anything in policy that
there's
would limit
5
that.
committees.
Yeah, and since we're noticing all of these meetings now anyways, there's no concern there about how many.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Any questions?
Do you have a question, Christine?
Yeah, under section A, the standing committee meetings, section 2 says all members of the board shall be members of all board standing committees.
You are welcome to attend any meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
You're
you
not
don't
sure-
have to.
Just because you're not appointed to one doesn't mean you're closed out and can't go.
Right.
oh, okay. Very
Right,
good.
you're members, but the really is, the chair assigns a chair of the committee and a.
Vice chair.
Vice chair, co-chair, vice chair,
Vice chair,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But then all the meetings for each of the committees are posted, and they're available to any other board members to attend. Obviously, we have to watch for quorums and things like that, but once they're posted, any of the other board members, and open to the public as well.
Okay.
So if you're not on a committee, but you want to attend one of those meetings just to meet the people or check in or just kind of hear how their agendas flow, you're welcome to go in and visit at any time. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll be looking for a motion.
I will move the school board policy 185 rule, and included in this motion will be the 1-month waiver.
Okay, you have a second? Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. And then, do we have to wait until the next meeting to accept requests for this committee assignment?
No, I
Okay,
think
then I would
so.
ask that each board member send me their priority list of which committees they'd like to be on, and just send that to me via email. And I'll send a reminder, but if we could have that by Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and then by the next meeting on the 21st, we'll have the committee assignments.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Next item, action item 11.4, administrative and employees at-will base wage CPI 2.13% increase for 2018-2019, and then individual contract extensions.
Yes, so this item is one that comes before the board annually. So this is for administrative and at-will employees. We're recommending we go up to the maximum CPI, which is 2.13 for next year, and that really is not, we're not bound by that, just so we're all clear and on the same page for administrators and at-will employees, but it is aligned with the maximum that we're allowed to negotiate up to for teachers, right? So that's as part of Act 10. The reason we're moving this forward at this point is that last year we waited until June. We have to negotiate, formally go into negotiations with the teachers to move forward with the 2.13 for them. But last year when we did this in June, I had a lot of anxious administrators. Is what's happening with their contracts? Are we going to have increases? I'm just trying to bring that kind of temperature down a little bit, moving this forward in May. We can get the contracts out, and we have people situated and ready to go for next year. So that's a little bit of the action that we're recommending to the board with that item.
Is this the amount that was already in the budget that we've seen? The amount that was budgeted for?
That's correct. Sorry, I was going to mention that in my introduction. Yes, we've budgeted for all employees 2.13% for next year.
Any other comments?
I just have one other
Yep,
comment.
sure.
And it's related to the request I had a long time ago about having, we have our CPI, but what are, I mean, we have our performance compensation, but, you know, we've heard from the teachers that's not what they want. And so I had asked about figuring out some way of a scale, a ladder, whatever you want to call it, where we have kind of a formula where if you get A, you get B, you get C, then you get D, sort of a thing. And I didn't know where we were with that. If I was in a committee somewhere, do we have any update?
So the piece that we're working on right now, and I've mentioned this recently, or maybe it was during my evaluation, some of the challenges of retaining employees, especially leadership positions right now. And there's some gender inequity that we're concerned about too within the salaries of leaders. And so our temporary HR part-time person, Steve Sperry's been working on that particular set of needs with Mike. And we've developed now, we'll be bringing this around at some point through when we have committees again. So what we're going to recommend for leadership positions, a salary range, because we've been starting people in kind of odd places depending on kind of the moment and who, so we have a little more consistency. And then a plan over 3 years to move people in leadership positions into ranges that are more comparable regionally, and to make sure that we're equitable in terms of what looks like kind of inequity right now. So that was kind of the first step. The piece around teachers, which is a much more complicated set of questions than for administrators, will really get turned over to the new HR director. We need somebody that has this on their plate as part of their full-time role, and that really then I think should get a committee that has some board members, has some teacher leadership on it as well, to start looking at what are the options. Going to a traditional step and lane quickly becomes unsustainable, given how unpredictable school funding is. So you can end up committing yourself to increases in the future that you have no idea that you'll have the revenue to cover. So it's always one of the kind of dynamics to try to balance. But we definitely hear the same kind of feedback from teachers. Right now, Deidre and I are doing the listening sessions and making sure we're retaining teachers and have comparable salaries is up on stickies almost in every single building. Right? So we're definitely getting the message. So I think we've got to figure out a different solution. And I know the boards in the past were really committed to performance compensation, and you're right, teachers have given us feedback that maybe that's not the direction. And to be honest, there's very little evidence in the literature that it improves student achievement. Right, so there's just not a nice, clean connection by asking teachers to present more and pay them more for it, that it actually turns into better outcomes for kids. So I think we want to explore the kind of possibilities and options in that, but we're going to wait till we have an HR director and say, okay, now you own that.
So follow-up is, where are we on the HR director hiring?
So we have interviews next week.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so we are looking for a motion.
Let's move to approve.
Second.
All right, any further comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right, the next item on our agenda, the last action item, is item 11.5, resolution regarding the sale of district property, the Buckton Trust.
So the board has had lots of conversations about this one, so we're in the kind of final stages of this. And Mike will share a little more detail on kind of how the dollars in the trust are meant to be directed. So I think we've gotten some clarity as he's dug a little bit deeper into this, as we've gotten closer to asking the board to approve the final sale of the house that's associated with the trust. So I'll turn it over to you.
Yep, so the Buckton House, as we've been referring to in conversation as well as updates, is a property that was willed to us when a former employee, I forget that.
Right, I think that's right.
Was, passed away. He gave that to our district, and in a way for us to use it to as we see best. Some of the things that I saw when I went through the documents was for purposes of music, as well as other special opportunities. For sure, music was one of the ones mentioned, and that's how he would like to see the money used. So the actual purchase of the property, we've gone through all the rounds. We are in the final stages of the sale of the house. We have a closing date set of May 15th, and the resolutions in front of you are that I can or Marty Lexman can act on behalf of the district to sell those properties, or the property as it is.
Do we have, so now we've gotten some more clarity on what the money can be used for. Is there any designs on what we would use it for? Any immediate designs, any ideas? Putting it in a scholarship fund? Nothing. It's just going to sit in a bank account?
Yep, so there's also additional money that is there from this family as well.
Okay.
So it would join that money in the bank, and then we'll have to look at how we're going to utilize that money going forward. It is in a higher interest yield, if you will, so that it's not just sitting there. I mean, it is gaining some money. I think we just need to figure out how we're going to utilize that money going forward.
Okay.
And I can put in my notes, because I did find it in the binder of information that was nicely placed on my desk. I can exactly tell you what that was in my next update.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. Any other comments? As we're looking for a motion for this?
Move to approve?
Second?
Any other final comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right, last item on the agenda then is board member suggestions for future agenda items. I don't have the previous list, but I know that it's there. Are there any new suggestions for agenda items or workshops going forward? Okay. Then I think we'll take a 5-minute break. I don't have to motion this, right? I don't remember. Okay. I'm learning. So we'll take a 5-minute break while we take down the cameras and then go into our workshop. First workshop is learning and technology with the new course proposals. We are at recess. I didn't want to